I grew up in an area where properties are so large and families so wealthy that they build mansions and walls, enclosing themselves in their private paradises, never interacting with their neighbors except by rare coincidence. I was homeschooled until I turned 7, which is where this story ends. But first, it begins at age 4, the age of my first memory of what my childhood was like. As a child, I thought that being insulated in your family's property was just what every kid did. Every time my parents went out, I would ask to go with them, but they would shake their heads, explaining that only adults left the house. Aside from that, I never asked for toys or things, so I developed what my parents described as a wild imagination. I began building relationships with the furniture in the house. I talked to them all the hours and gave every single one of them a name. My parents seemed to enjoy my imagination more and more, dramatically increasing the amount of furniture in the house. My father had always considered himself a handyman, someone with a skill to work with his hands, and he often told me about his love of building things and how he had created some of his pieces himself. And so, 3 years space of the deep emotional bond I developed with the furniture in my home. Arnold was the living room sofa that seemed to move up and down as I reclined on him to read books. Sophia was my bed, which moved softly, rocking me from side to side to help me sleep. Sometimes I could even hear her humming delicately. When I laid my head on my bedroom desk, Claudio could hear my heartbeat. I constantly talked to Maria, a rather small chair that was very responsive to me, making strange sounds and vibrations spontaneously. But, above all, I was very fond of Lionel, the large sofa, and also the softness in the house, the one that seemed to mimic my breathing, and all the furniture was so soft, so warm, and so alive to me. It's funny how quickly things can change. It was Monday, my 7th birthday, and my parents were in their workshops building a new piece of furniture as a gift. A woman had gotten lost driving through the city, and even though our gates were locked tight, she somehow managed to get through. She knocked on the door and I jumped, as I never heard anyone approach to her house before. When I opened the door, her expression concerning horror and dread. She suddenly vomited. I suppose it was because of the nauseating smell emanating from my house. Though I had already grown used to it, then she scooped me in her arms and started running, taking me away from that place. Tomorrow, I turn 27, and I've been trying to decide if I should sit in the room where my parents are going to be executed. The headlines had labeled them monsters. They were never classified as murderers because no one died, but it was much worse than that. 167 people to make 71 pieces of furniture, that is 664 limbs, resembled in ways no one should ever imagine. Sometimes people think I'm Buddhist because there is no furniture in my apartment. My parents were surgeons, and I used to talk with the furniture.